Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our podcast. I'm sure that you've had, fantastic weekends. You probably had, they've actually opened event centers for Nigerians. I'm sure that some of you have, visited some of these event centers to have birthday celebrations and, wedding parties and all of that. But it's a good thing to be able to have, physical attendance and to be able to mix with people. But of course, as important as it is, it's also very important that those precautionary measures are still put in place while we are having all of those, enjoyments. But generally, I trust that your weekend was good. Mine was awesome as well, though I had a lot to do, but it's been good general. What about you, Dambala? How's your weekend?
My weekend was quite interesting, and you are a boss. Yeah, I'm not a boss, so you are busy. But mine was a chilled weekend because I went kayaking. So and.
Nice. And who's flexing? And I mean, who's the boss here?
That's not the mark of a boss. People are busy that are bosses. Yeah, so it was a good experience. I mean, it was me just throwing myself out there and putting myself on the edge. Yeah,
which is good. So that means you tried something new.
So I mean, I've ticked that off my list. So it's remaining bungee jumping and skydiving. So I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to tell my parents about that.
That's some adrenaline pump.
So it was quite interesting, and I mean, like you said, a lot of places have opened up, and things are gradually, getting back to normal. Church schools are opening up, and So I mean, the O1 Bears, I'm sure it'll be coming back soon, and I can't wait to eat party rice.
No, they're back. They are back.
So I mean, I can't wait to eat party rice, party jollof. And speaking of jollof, the guest that we are speaking to today is based in America, but he's actually from Ghana. And when we were having a conversation, I mean, you mentioned Ghanaian jollof, and I just decided I don't want to have the fight. So we'll not start World War.
Like this is not, the battle is not for today.
Let's just, I've forgiven him.
We all have.
Yeah, so we're speaking with Sam Badu. He's the founder of Fleri. It was an interesting conversation, and it's something that we definitely want to share with you, the listeners. And we'll share that, after this short break.
Stay tuned.
Hi, InsurTech Business Series. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. Your podcasts are always interesting, thought-provoking, and educational. I am Ines, and I'm following you from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Hi, Sam. How have you been?
Well, I'm good. Fulumi, thank you very much for having me here. The more I appreciate the invitation. Looking forward to a wonderful conversation with you. And it's good to hang out again.
Yeah, great. Yeah. How is it on your side of the world?
I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Ohio. The weather today is a bit gloomy. It's starting to get slightly cold, which is expected, but everything else is okay. We're all coping with the effects of the pandemic, so primarily working from home and not going out as much as usual.
Okay.
But how has that worked out? Have you been able to adjust to your normal? You're still finding...
Oh, no, it's been great, right? So transitioning from going out every day to the office and being home, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I find that I'm working way more, so that's a negative thing. I don't have as much of the boundaries, but in terms of being able to be closer to the family, that's paid off pretty well, especially with the little one. So there's a lot of time that we're spending here.
I mean, the lines have been blurred. That work-life balance, right? Yeah. But I mean, you just have to try because I mean, the work has to be done. Tell us a bit about yourself. Like, tell us your story.
That's an interesting one. My story is still being written.
Okay.
What has already come, I can give you a bit about that. So I'm Ghanaian. Ghana Jollof will always win. I grew up for the most part in Accra. I was born in Accra, lived between Accra and Tema, where my family is. Up until I was about 17, right? So I went to boarding school in Ghana for high school. And then I was fortunate enough to have a UN scholarship that took me to Morocco sometime in 2008. So I spent about 5 years in Morocco studying, where I got very active with the community and also in technology. I think back then, we were all very fascinated by Google AdWords around 2008, 2009, and was part of a community that was helping small businesses learn how to use Google AdWords to put themselves out there a little bit more. I also worked with a young group of volunteers that brought the second ever TEDx event to Morocco, which we had in Oujda. And that was really eye-opening to see how technology could unite different people, from different places, especially given the diversity of the student body there. Getting to the very end, latter parts of my time there, I volunteered a year with a German nonprofit, Comité d'Entraide Internationale, and with a focus on helping sub-Saharan African immigrants who were trying to get to Europe and had been stranded there. Now, that was my very first realization of the broader issue that immigration faces, the broader conversation of what it really means to not have means to an opportunity in your own country. I focused my thesis work on social entrepreneurship and how economies were growing as a result of that. For me, at that time, Mohamed Yunus was a great influencer in my life at that point in time, and what the Grameen Bank meant to India. And I truly felt that, we could have a bit of that in Africa. I went to Ghana in 2012 with a group of young men who also shared a very similar vision. And I started a company called Heal the World, which was my very first social enterprise, experience, building a company in that regard. Went on from there, started my first company, Kitchen Express, which was a grocery delivery company that was way beyond its time, or way before its time. Didn't work out too well, as we learned from our failures. Left out of that about 6 months, and then started a consulting firm, Porter & Dale, which was focused on providing strategy consulting and management advice to small businesses and startups, both in West Africa and for businesses or startups that were focused on doing more Africa-related business. This led to some really interesting collaborations, really interesting client work. One of which I'm most proud would be Boating, the ethical eyewear company in Canada, which is doing very well. The work that we did there laid a lot of groundwork for what Boating is now able to do both in Africa and then in North America. So that's a bit of a background into my early stages, primarily on the continent before moving out.
Currently, what do you do?
So I'm currently founder and CEO of Fleri. Fleri is a health insurance marketplace that allows immigrants living in the U.S. and in the diaspora to be able to compare and buy health insurance for their families back home. That's what I'm currently doing, building a company with a team of really great people who have different experiences around their own immigrant stories, how we're making life better for immigrants and their loved ones back home.
All right, that's quite interesting. But I mean, listening to your journey so far, I mean, there's no mention of insurance, right? Nothing related to insurance. So I'm quite curious. How did you get into the insurance space? How did Fleri come about? That why was that something that you thought that, hey, this is a space that you wanted to go into, especially at this moment?
Insurance is not something that I ever thought of, but there's always the context, right? When I was born, my dad was an insurance salesman. He was very early at the state insurance company in Ghana, in the late 80s, getting into the 90s. So I grew up with my dad doing that before he transitioned to starting his own travel and tour company. I never really thought much of that until very recently, right? After having experienced setting losses in my life over the last 3 years, I started to pay attention more to how in the US, where I live, we mitigate the same risks, primarily around healthcare and providing for other forms of risk coverage. Right? Insurance is just a transfer of risk for a known outcome or something that's going to happen. You're going to get sick. You don't know when, but it's going to happen. Right? When that happens, you can either choose to carry that risk yourself or to pass on that risk to an entity to whom you pay a fixed amount to cover that risk. It's a very basic principle that is very well utilized in developed countries, but very underutilized back home. And understanding my desire to have a greater impact in healthcare access on the continent pushed me to have to learn more and understand insurance. So I enrolled, to study and become an accredited or licensed insurance producer and broker here in the U.S. And that's kind of what drove my journey into insurance. It was really around there's a problem that I'd like to solve, and that requires me to have a better understanding of a particular field called insurance, and that's what led me there.
That's quite interesting. So you mentioned what you're trying to achieve. It's a great thing. I mean, being that we have seen publications of numbers as regards the flow of funds back to Africa, right? And the diaspora is quite huge in terms of their contribution to the economy of African countries, right? And I mean, I see how this keys into all of that. But one thing that we have struggled with, especially in this part of the world, is that trust element, in terms of insurance companies actually paying claims and being there for their customers. In this kind of model, I mean, what I'm seeing is they have to trust the insurance companies, right? Because they're talking about my mother here, right? I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money in order to ensure that when my mother is ill, all she needs to do is get to the hospital and she'll be taken care of. She doesn't have to pay anything. The convenience, right? How do you plan to solve for that element of trust that is there? So how do you manage the concerns from, your direct customers, the migrants, and then, engaging those insurance companies who you are partnering with on the ground here in Africa?
Hey, this is Brian Falchuk from Boston, Massachusetts in the United States of America. I want to give a shout out to the InsurTech Business Series, Fleri and Damola. What you are doing to help move the industry forward in the African continent, but also more broadly for the industry at large, is so incredibly important. As I think about the future of our industry, it's conversations like the ones you're having that will help us move forward. So congratulations on the success of the show. Please keep at it.
Okay, I just like to keep this in before you answer the question. I want to understand that this model will be health insurance to those in the diaspora for their family members in their home country, if I'm correct.
That is correct.
And I also like to understand that the different models, purchase of insurance over there than we have here. So I understand that Damola is talking about what issues we currently have in our home country, especially with the Africa environment. But is this applicable to the way people react to the purchase of insurance over there? Because I think that's where we'll be able to answer this question, accurately and correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So do they also have all of those trust issues with the purchase of insurance over there? Seeing the fact that insurance is one important thing, and people are actually seeing how it works. So that's the but I just wanted to put that close in so that we are able to get more steps.
Okay, so really great questions, right? And I'll kind of give you a background here. Trust for insurance companies is the primary currency that they deal in. One of my lecturers always mentioned that if you start out by believing and understanding that insurance companies are in the business of paying claims, everything else falls into place after that, right? Which means that insurance companies are not in the business of denying claims. Insurance companies are not in the business of deceiving customers. Insurance companies are not in the business of falsifying or overselling or misrepresenting the benefits that they're giving, right? So we start from that angle. When Blue Cross Blue Shield, which were really the pioneers of the insurance industry in the United States, started, one of the primary reasons was because people viewed hospitals as a place where they went to die. Everything was based on curative healthcare until they started thinking about the fact that, if people had access to knowledge about what health they were in, and they could do that fairly simply without friction, we actually increase the likelihood that they live longer. Insurance companies here operate with the same currency of trust. And the only way you build that currency of trust is in your historic claim payments, right? When you ask an insurance company, what is your track record of paying claims? That is the number one basis on which you're going to make a decision for whether this insurer is worthy or not. And it's the same thing that carries across whether we're focused on someone buying a policy for their family back home or someone buying a policy primarily for themselves to consume here, right? And the way Fleri is thinking about it, Amola, coming back to your question, we could have chosen to create a marketplace that has every insurance company on the platform. But that would mean that we have very little leverage and very little control to build in the element of trust. And so the way Fleri goes about it is to intentionally engage the best insurers with the best track record in the countries where we're operating to have them on the platform first. And so when we started in Ghana, the goal was to identify who was going to be the best partners to work with. We spoke to several insurers. Not all of them are on our platform, right? We had to establish what would be the playbook for what makes a good insurance partner, right? And identify them, which means that we're having discussions around the benefits, the products that we're putting out there, how effective the products would be, remediation factors, governance for any issues that come up, to make sure that we're bringing the best service to the people who are buying this. Because in reality, Fleri isn't selling health insurance. Fleri is selling peace of mind and financial security for immigrants in the diaspora. 3 months ago, my mom had a mild heart attack. I live the very story we're actually building for. From the moment when she was taken to the hospital to when my sister called me to inform me, to letting me know what was going on, the things that play in my mind, the anxiety that I felt, the fear that I had is the same for the millions of immigrants who live in the diaspora away from the people that they care about. And so how are we focused on solving those things? How do we bring peace of mind in that process? So that's what's important for us to remember, that trust is key, and we're optimizing for trust by being selective and intentional about who gets on the Fleri platform as an insurance partner.
I mean, I think it's that bit that we still struggle with, especially in this part of the world, right? Understanding that the currency that we spend is trust. Tell us, the journey, like the customer journey and how it works, really. Just give us a vivid picture of how it works so we can embody exactly how Fleri impacts people.
when you think about Fleri, you're thinking about the Nigerian or the Ghanaian or the Kenyan, Tanzanian, immigrant who lives in the U.S. or in Australia. And I'll tell you, interestingly, who could also live in Nigeria. For the person who's living outside of their primary country of birth, that has dependents that rely on them, right? Dependents who they support. The beginning of that journey with Fleri is them looking for a way to better care for those family members, right? And one of the biggest requests that they get all the time is, hey, grandma is sick. Mommy is not feeling well. Your cousin is not doing okay. This person got in an accident, right? And then the headache that comes from them having to go find a Western Union or a MoneyGram or downloading an app and trying to figure out what the exchange rate is going to be, or even if they have that money budgeted. That is the big one. So for us, it's about thinking of the future. If you think of the people that you care about, if you have someone who depends on you, that's where your journey starts. So on our platform, right, the tech just makes all of this happen more seamlessly. But it's really, you're coming on Fleri to be able to identify, one, I have this person that I want to be able to cover. I want them to have healthcare that they can access at any point in time with no hassle, right? And I want a way to be able to do that, not just like that, but sustainably, right? So you're on our platform, you're giving us the information on who you want to cover. What country are they in? What is their name, their gender, their age? Do they have any known pre-existing conditions? Right. From there, what kind of benefits would you like them to have? Once you told us all of these things, Fleri is going to tell you that out of the insurance companies that we work with, these are the policies in the right order that fit the need that you're looking for. So you have choice, right? It's not a one size fits all. You have choice, right? And then you find the best policy for what you want them to have, whether you want them to be able to go to South Africa for care, or you just want them to have care in Nigeria. If you want them to be able to come to the US to come for care, right? That is going to be different factors that you're dealing with. And we're going to show you, what the different options are. Now, you purchase a policy. It's as simple as attaching your card or your bank account to facilitate that transaction. We also give you the choice of being able to pay either monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, right? And making it as easy as possible, the same way you get health insurance for yourself, to be able to get health insurance for this family member. And once you do that, there's a whole lot of work that is going on in the background that we take care of, right? For making sure that the policy gets underwritten, the policy contract is going to be delivered to the doorstep of your family member. They're going to get their ID card along with the list of providers that they have in the network that you've chosen for them. They will have a hotline number that they can call 24/7 to be able to let us know if there's anything that we need to deal with. But for the beneficiary in the country, it's really one thing. We are making it stupid easy to just walk into a hospital or to a pharmacy or to any service provider that accepts that insurance to be able to get that care, period. Take your card, go to the hospital, go get the care that you need, so that in an emergency, nobody has to be called. They go right away, whether it's ambulance service, pharmacy, they need to buy pharmaceuticals. We want to make it easy for them and give you that peace of mind knowing, even if it is 12 a.m., they don't have to call you and tell you at that 12 a.m. They can call you and tell you in the next morning and let you know, hey, follow me, that policy that you bought mommy, she had to be taken to the hospital yesterday and it was all taken care of. That is how we're measuring success on this platform. And that's basically what the journey looks like from the diasporan immigrant who comes on the platform to the end when the beneficiary receives their card to start using their policy.
Okay, I think I particularly like the fact that there's a lot of customer segmentation when it comes to fitting the product to what the customer needs. But I'm also particular about putting issues around out of pocket healthcare. Say, for instance, in terms of emergency, where the hospital probably can confirm what it is. I mean, I use an HMO here, and there are certain times when we have to, sometimes pay out of pocket. And although we get reimbursement, but at the end of the day, you would have actually gone through the pain of having to ask people for money, or if you don't have the money, you probably have to borrow from a friend or something. So, how exactly are you able to manage all of experience and issues with,
especially some of the exclusions that you might have, some things that might not be covered?
So we do a very good job of explaining in your policy contract, what is covered and what is not covered, right? And what is covered is simply, things that we can mitigate for, right? If it's not covered, then you're already aware from the beginning that, when it comes to these things, and what's not covered is not much. They're mostly, around pre-existing conditions that exist. And even then, right, we have different policies to be able to address that. That way we eliminate those things. For instance, critical care, right? Critical care might not be on some of the lower end policies, but if critical care is important for a relative to have, then we have a policy that provides critical care, or provide critical care as a supplement that is being purchased. Right. Now, what you also touched on, Fulumi, was what happens in an emergency if they get sent to a hospital that is not in the network. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? I mentioned very early on that Fleri, as a company, is interested in owning the end-to-end experience. What we're doing, at least in Ghana, is the fact that we're providing a certain level of provision, right? A revolving fund that is meant to take care of these escalating situations, such that our priority is to make sure that your relative gets the care they need at the time they need, no matter what happens. Afterwards, we go deal with the insurance company. And that's the difference between if you were in a country and you were going to go deal with the insurance company yourself, and it's 12 a.m. or it's 1 a.m. and you've been rushed to the hospital, you're not going to be able to reach them, right? But Fleri makes it different in that we are going to cover that and then take it up with the insurance company after. If it's not an emergency, then you have a choice, right? If you really want to use that provider because that's where you are, but it's not an emergency, then you go ahead and do that. You're going to have to pay for that out of pocket. And then there's a claim reimbursement process in our platform that helps you get reimbursed for that. But when it deals with emergencies, we optimize to take care of the beneficiary first.
The immigrants part, to a good extent, is a good sell, right? It's something that is the peace of mind that definitely they want to have, right? And being able to provide that kind of solution where their loved ones will get care. But on the other side, right, is the insurers who are on the ground here in Africa, in the countries where you are engaging. Now, that bit, you have limited control, right? So how do you manage that relationship, ensuring claims are being paid, so ensuring that even the experiences of these loved ones, these people at the care centers, healthcare centers, are what it should be, So how do you manage all of that?
So the insurance relationship has been really great. The fact that we're intentional with who our partners are, and just to give you an overview, our core pilot is happening in Ghana, right? So we're working with Glyco Healthcare, Premier Health Insurance. We're working with Nationwide Insurance. And for them, it is us. We have a really good relationship that allows us to be able to make sure that we're holding them accountable to their service providers on their network, right? The money comes from the insurance companies to pay the claims. So it is in the provider's best interest to provide the highest level of care. We also survey the beneficiaries who go to the hospital to be able to make sure that the level of care that they receive are commensurate with the level of care that the insurers are promising. The other part of how we manage that is the establishment of a governance board, right? So we have a governance board that has 2 representatives for every insurer that we work with. This is how we make sure that anything that comes up has adequate redress. Anything that comes up is being addressed properly. So that's how we're mitigating against these things. And as we expand, as we acquire more customers, there's going to be more leverage to be able to have on the market in this way. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bent, and I'm the founder and CEO of MTech, and we are based in Kenya. I am very passionate about the disruption of the insurtech space, and together with our model MTech, we are actually serving insurance platform and also white label solutions for the industry. Please keep on listening to InsurTech Business Series podcast, and I hope to see all of you at the conference in December.
From your engagements now with people already at the moment with insurers and the likes, what's the vision?
So I think insurance has been around for a long time. Creative insurance is just starting. And like you mentioned, we have companies like Bima, Wellvis, Reliance that are doing some really interesting things in the market. We expect that to continue to grow. And as we do more business with insurance on the continent, it's only going to get better. Our ultimate vision is to improve access to quality healthcare for 1 billion people, right? Then we realize that we can't just stick to those who have relatives abroad. It's going to come down to how are we able to move the needle for the Africans who live on the African continent, who do not have relatives abroad. How do we make sure that we're designing products that impact them, right? And that's something that we're going to see. What we're bringing is unlocking a capital that has always just been seen for its size, but never for its true value, right? This is going to bring accountability, and we see this in different aspects of, that remittance flow and the creativity that we're going to have more leverage. Think about it. If the money is flowing from relatives abroad down, it means that now hospitals are going to start recognizing that they're being judged based on the care that they're providing for the money that the diasporans are bringing back. We're expecting that the hospitals are going to start making more investments in the healthcare provision, in the number of doctors, right? Because as more claims are being paid, then we're supercharging the healthcare system to be able to solve some of the structural and systemic issues that primarily have not been able to solve because they were marketing and trying to sell to the same group of people who have a big challenge with affordability. What we've done is taking the equation of affordability from the local continent to the diaspora. And that we think is going to change a lot of how that value chain looks like, right? We're going to see how that plays out. We're very hopeful. And we think a lot more people are going to start unlocking more of that value in the diaspora.
Okay. I think that's a fantastic thing that you guys are really doing. It's a good one to have actually found that marketplace and to address the need in that marketplace. I read an article recently saying that over time, as much as technology is developing here and there, that insurance moved from insurance of property to insurance of things and services. And I know that with the current insurance structure that is Fleri is currently doing, do you see yourself penetrating the insurance market wider and bigger space? For instance, we're looking to compete the funeral insurance market or all of that.
You're definitely correct, right? And there's a reason why insurance penetration in the continent and in most emerging economies are low, right? There's several factors, from regulatory, cultural, financial, that holds a lot of that back. Our primary focus, like I mentioned, is around the immigrant, right? How do we make life more bearable for the person who's left their country of birth to find a life that allows them to better support their families and their loved ones back home, right? And this means that if you look at that immigrant, what are they spending currently on? Huge funeral costs, right? In Ghana and other places like Ghana. So it is natural that we're going to be moving into the final rights and funeral policy space. We're going to be moving, if God permits, into the life insurance space and really capitalizing and expanding on the health insurance access, right? By diversifying and adding more products. Because it makes sense. They're already spending thousands of dollars a year in being able to do these things, at full cost. We're all going to die, right? We understand that. How do you mitigate that? And how do you make sure that when that happens, you're better prepared? Going to take a credit card debt of $20,000, $30,000 to pay for a funeral back home when it could have been mitigated with the life insurance policy makes sense for immigrants to be able to have access to, right? We just want to connect that bridge and make it possible for them to live life slightly more dignified or more intentional.
That's amazing. So for Fleri now, what's the plan like in terms of investors or investments and partnerships going forward?
Fleri is currently raising, right? So we're raising our round. We're continuously talking to investors. In terms of product launch, we're in private beta, so we started selling policies, just not publicly. September 30th is going to be our soft launch. When we're going to open this up to the public and start seeing more of that customer acquisition rapidly building up, right? So that's where we are right now in terms of launching September 30th, and you can hear about us, talk about us, see us everywhere in that sense as we get the word out. But for now, we're in private beta, working with fewer customers that are coming in, more intentional. But making sure that we're working out the kinks in this pipeline so that the experience can truly be scalable for the immigrants and then their beneficiary.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So I know that you joined a startup studio. Can you tell us a bit about that? And also, once you launch, where are you launching? I know that you're from Ghana, so are we starting in Ghana?
Yeah, so in terms of the venture studio, right? Rev One, Ohio is the insurance capital of the United States. We're lucky to be here, and Rev One has a lot of experience, expertise, and access within the insurance space here. Also, they do a very good job of supporting startups that are here in Columbus. And we also have some other support from venture studios around the state. They help with bringing a lot of expertise, higher level thinking and strategy around what we're doing. And then in regards to the launch itself, our core business model is to work with local insurance partners in the countries. And so for that, we're going to be launching that in Ghana. But like I mentioned before, we're going to be going to market also with our partnership with Cigna, which allows us to be able to sell plans that give global access across Africa. So you could buy a policy in Nigeria for a relative on the Cigna plan, if that is the level of care that you're looking for. much higher, up to $1 million in coverage. Premiums are also slightly more elevated than with the local partners, but you have access to a whole lot more facilities, right? 1.73 million facilities around the world. Also, like I mentioned, that people who want their relatives to be able to come for care here or in the UK where they live, right? So we provision for this with these policies. We're also working with another partnership with an insurance South Africa that is going to provide us core coverage in Africa. That is also going to be coming out September 30th as we tighten up on our agreements. So while we're launching our core product in Ghana, we're going to be in 54 countries in Africa starting September 30th, right? So those countries that we'll be able to provide coverage for.
Are you still seeking partners, other investors? Are you still actively seeking partners?
Yes. So we have a partnership roadmap for what we're doing, and we're working along those timelines. So you're going to start seeing partner acquisitions coming into the platform on a progressive basis. It was really important that we tighten up and we look down on our core partners going into the launch, and then work to expand other partners getting access to the platform.
Oh, okay, that's great. Well, it's been amazing. Talking about Fleri and what you're doing is quite interesting, and I like the way it ties very much into the third SDG goal, right? Providing good healthcare and well-being. And I mean, kudos to you guys. And so for people who are listening and they want to reach out, who want to propose partnerships, or maybe an investor who wants to come in, how can people reach out to you? LinkedIn or?
Well, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, right? So Fleri Health for Instagram and Twitter. You'll find us at Join Fleri on Facebook, and then on LinkedIn that will be Fleri. You could also go to www.joinfleri.com. And that's for anybody who's trying to buy a policy or wants to check us out, walk through the process from the website. We're also available on WhatsApp, via text, via email. Just going to the website will give you access to all of our contacts. But I personally am primarily on LinkedIn. It's about the only platform I'm able to manage myself. So we're very open, very accessible. My co-founders are also available on LinkedIn, and the team is small but very dynamic around the work that we're doing.
I don't know about you, Fleri. I mean, it's been an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it has been for me too. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the interesting conversations I've been to have, especially having to penetrate a new market. Like, it's exciting for me, and with all of the partnerships and all of the technology used, I think I'm excited about it. I see Fleri becoming bigger than what it is going to be, and I would be happy, or we would be happy, to actually be partakers of the success of Fleri. Thank you so much, Sam.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been really great talking to you. I know we've had conversations before this, and seeing what you're doing in the insurance space, as well as leveraging this platform to let people understand, what is possible. The primary problems for Africa, the challenges in Africa, remain pretty much the same. And anybody solving problems in this space, one, is going to be having impact, and two, has the opportunity to build a successful business, right? As we focus on healthcare, education, we focus on transportation, logistics, and we focus on financial access, right? That unlocks a lot of value, including agriculture. That unlocks a lot of value for all parties involved, right? And at the end of the day, the most important thing is we're building a company for immigrants, by immigrants, focused on providing the kind of service that my grandmother is going to be proud of, that your grandmother is going to be proud of, right? At the end of the day, every decision that we make comes from a place of, what is my mother going to feel like when she's using this product? And that doesn't happen often, right? I've worked on a lot of different ideas, lots of different companies. It's not often that you get to make something that is extremely personal, extremely interesting to all intersect at the same time, be a hopefully profitable business as well.
Great. Yeah. So we look forward to further engagement and just being a part of the Fleri story. And we're happy to have this conversation, and definitely it's going to continue. We definitely wish you all the very best, yourself and the team at Fleri.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hi, and welcome to the news update. My name is Ope Olua. The headlines: Allianz and Jubilee Insurance enter strategic partnership in East Africa. Autogenius rethinks customer engagement with AI chatbot. NICOM sets to release IT guidelines for industry players. Now the details. Allianz and Jubilee Insurance enter strategic partnership in East Africa. Leading insurance group Allianz has just signed an agreement with East Africa's largest insurance group, Jubilee Holdings Limited, in order to explore new business opportunities in the 5-country Jubilee currently operates. The partnership, which covers general insurance business, is one, according to the regional CEO of Allianz Africa, that will foster growth by delivering innovative solutions and superior quality service made possible by the combined expertise of both organizations. Autogenius rethinks customer engagement with AI chatbot. Digital insurance platform Autogenius has announced that its customers will now be able to buy affordable health insurance easily and faster via WhatsApp or Telegram with the help of their new AI chatbot called Alex. This, according to the general manager, Adebowale Banjo, is necessitated by their drive to offer Nigerians innovative and flexible insurance plans alongside ease of service delivery. NICOM sets to release IT guidelines for industry players. The National Insurance Commission, which is regulator of the insurance industry in Nigeria, has disclosed that guidelines for IT in the industry would be released very soon. This is coming as the Commission for Insurance, Sunday Thomas, announced that the NICOM portal, which has been in the works since 2014, has now been fixed. Speaking at a journalists' dinner in Uyo, the commissioner said, "It is no longer going to be historical reporting, it is going to be reporting as at now. If you tap anybody in the commission, he or she should be able to tell you the transactions in the markets in the last 4 days. That is the objective. That is where we are heading to." And that's it on the news update. The rest of the show continues with Damola and Folumi. Do stay tuned.
Hi, InsurTech Business Series. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. Your podcasts are always interesting, thought-provoking, and educational. I am Ines, and I'm following you from Johannesburg, South Africa.
So guys, welcome back. I'm sure you enjoyed this interactive session with Sam. It was, it's good to know that there are a lot of different ways to buy insurance without having to step out of the borders or even buying away from the shores of Nigeria and covering people within a particular place. Like imagine if you have if you're able to buy insurance, health insurance actually, for someone you left behind if you're in the diaspora, that's a good thing. It means that you are not just you don't feel that guilt of abandoning your family. You are able to cater for them as much as you are able to focus on what it is that took you out of your country of origin from the very first beginning. So I think that's a good one.
What they're doing is quite interesting, and it's something that I think that is quite key, because I mean, it's well documented that, you know, the diaspora, people in the diaspora send money home, you know, for different reasons, you know, various reasons, and chief of those reasons are health related. You know, mama is ill, you know, you send money, you know, papa is ill, you send money. And Fleri is saying, hey, let's help you save money. Let's help you ensure that these loved ones that you left behind in Africa, they are getting the best care possible. Give us that assignment and we'll help ensure that is the case. That's what they're doing, and they're helping give people in the diaspora the peace of mind. And it's just reimagining how insurance is being sold and bought. You know, see people, you know, in America, in different parts of the world, they're able to buy insurance for their mother, their father, back here in Africa, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in South Africa. And these people here have access to all of these health centers within their country and even outside. You know, so it's just amazing, because it opens a lot of opportunities, you know, for them, and it makes us see that a lot of things can come out of you just thinking about, you know, how insurance really can be taken to a new level, and that's what I see from what they are doing. And Africa is definitely, for me, the new playground when it comes to, you know, innovation around technology and insurance. And this is one way that they are doing that, creating a marketplace where people can buy insurance from another country for people in an entirely different continent. So it's quite interesting, and we are excited to see how that grows.
No, I actually like that fact that they've been able to break that market barrier, you know, and I like that they're penetrating this particular market. So you're seeing an opportunity somewhere, you know. I don't think there are a lot of people that have actually been able to crack that particular code, but, you know, for you to actually have adopted this model into your business and you're running with it, and you've been able to carve a niche for the business. I mean, insurance it's a lot. Insurance is versatile. You have different aspects of insurance, but you coming to sell insurance to people in the diaspora to cover people in your own country, that's in Africa. I think that's a very good one, and it's interesting because now it not only assures you of the fact that you're able to cater to your loved ones, but it gives you that peace of mind, which is the actual purpose of insurance, that I'm gone, and regardless, I'm not going to pay out of my nose to fund particular health issues, because I have Fleri covering this particular aspect for me. So that there's just that peace of mind you have that lets you know that, okay, this is not an area I have to bother myself about, because I've gotten it covered.
For me, again, I see it as insurance, you know, for Africans by Africans, right? The founders are from Ghana, and so they have that personal experience that they can draw from. And some of these risks, some of these challenges are things that they have faced even personally. So they are customers in and themselves. You know, so they know what the customer, what people in the diaspora are facing. They're able to see that, and hey, this is a problem. Why not create a solution around that problem that can help people have that peace of mind, like you said? And so it's quite interesting, and you know, we're happy to help and support them in any way that they can when they're ready to come into Nigeria. You know, so and we're happy to be a part of that conversation as well.
Oh, let's not forget to congratulate them on Fleri in Ghana.
Yeah, congratulations, Sam and team. You guys are amazing, and keep up the good work.
Anyway, we're sure that you enjoyed today's session, and you are also keen and interested in following up with all of these conversations. So Again, we are available on LinkedIn. We're available on Twitter. You can also reach us via our email address. It's also embedded in our LinkedIn handle. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate your support. We also appreciate the fact that you've sent in your reviews about how exactly to, reshaping the entire podcast. So thank you very much. And we hope to engage you one of these days, just to have like our audience perspective about insurance. Not just specialists in the industry, just even hear what you have to say about what you think about the insurance industry generally, and how we should be able to use technology to harness, that bit. So thank you once again for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I remain Fleri and my co-host.
Damola, it was a pleasure, and see you. Stay safe.
All right.